From MPB Think Radio, this is Now You're Talking, the award-winning show about the most interesting people and stories of Mississippi. I'm your host, Marshall Ramsey, an editorial cartoonist committed to telling Mississippi's best stories. Well, since joining the MPB Foundation in 2017, over the last five years, goodness gracious, it's been longer than that now. It's almost eight years. Goodness gracious. Angela Ferraez has strategically enhanced fundraising efforts for Mississippi Public Broadcasting, significantly growing membership and revenue. And we chatted with her a few years ago when she was named to the 2022 Businesswoman of the Year. That was a fantastic show, by the way. She was named that by the Mississippi Business Journal. Good choice on their part. Today, we're welcoming her back so that we can get some updates on both her life and the goings-on right here at MPB Foundation, which includes, of course, an upcoming antique appraisal event in Oxford. There should be some great antiques up in that part of the world. Angela, first of all, where does this find you? Because we're talking right now. For those of you on the radio, she's sitting in front of a beautiful antique china cabinet, it looks like. So how are you?
Yes, I'm doing well. And you're actually finding me at my home in Columbus because since our event is in Oxford, I have been up here doing some TV interviews and in Oxford promoting the event, putting out posters and flyers and speaking with people so that we can ensure it's a successful event.
Oh, that's fantastic. And, these have been very popular in the past so far. So you're expecting a good crowd, aren't you?
We are. We have had good crowds. This will be our 5th regular season. And then we had one little mini holiday season this past December. But we've just been going all over the state and they have all been very well received. And I think they've made nice TV shows, actually.
Oh, they're fun to watch. They really are. And I think the thing about the South is, because of the history, I've got a friend that lives down in Natchez, and she's got like a table that they pulled out of the Mississippi River that was part of a sunken riverboat that sank like in the 1880s and got that. I mean, all of our stuff has stories.
That's right. And that's what makes it so interesting is people come to the event and they tell the appraisers as much of the story as they can, and they're all different and they're all interesting. Everything from something their grandfather brought back from the war or their father did, or important people that they met and that went along with the item they brought. Is just all fascinating to me.
And that was a tough thing, Angela, to be honest with you, when my parents passed away, because they had a lot of stuff in their house. And so, of course, my sisters and I cleaned it out. And the stuff that we really gravitated to and kept were the things that we knew the stories for instance. Like I've got a piano bench that my great-great-grandmother, who her husband was a Methodist circuit rider in North Mississippi, she carved with a hot poker. And it is the most gorgeous piece of art. It's got oak leaves on it and lines and everything else, just total artisan. And she just was incredibly talented. But I've got that story now because I have that connection to Mississippi. And I think that's what's so great about the shows is because, people come in and they may not know that something like that is valuable. And then poof, they're walking out of there with not only something that's memorable to them, but also financially valuable as well.
That's right. And one of the questions I was asked this morning in an interview is, do people leave and then sell their item, or what do they do? And I will tell you that Bill Ellison and Jermaine Flood are usually there with me interviewing people. And we find from the interviews that almost everyone says they're going to keep their item because most of the items they bring have sentimental value that they want to hold on to.
Oh, that's so true. That is so true. And, it is fun. We were watching the national version of it the other night, and it was just neat. Like this one lady came in and there was like a very famous painting, and it ended up worth like $60,000 or something like that. But she says, well, I'm going to keep it. I'm like, yeah, okay. Yeah. I probably would, because it probably worth more than that in the future a little bit. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll talk a little bit more about this in just a few minutes, but let's talk about you for a minute, because I really honestly, and I'm not just saying that because I've just said it already, but that last show was so much fun. I had so many compliments on it. So many people love getting to meet you via the radio all around the state. You are an incredible business person. You have been your whole career a little bit. Let's tell me a little bit about your early Mississippi days.
Early as in childhood early?
Well, yeah, no, from the beginning. Well, when I remember when I got out of diapers, just what was it like growing up in Mississippi for you?
There's no better place to grow up for me, and that's why I wanted to raise my children here. I love Mississippi. I love the people. I love the history here, and I just have always considered it that I was very fortunate to have been born and reared in Mississippi.
Yeah, right. You're literally right where you were born and reared. You're right there in Columbus.
That's right. That's right. So I've stayed here, owned this home since 1992. So the longest places I've lived are my parents' home and here. So, but I've also enjoyed coming to Jackson and meeting all the wonderful people that I had never met before.
And then you met me, right? So that evened it
and
out.
Then there's that. And then there's that. But also I've learned being in Jackson and of course all over the state is that really Mississippi is just a small town because you see people everywhere in Mississippi. I don't think I can go anywhere without finding a connection to someone I know or either someone I do know. So that's another great thing about Mississippi to me.
So what's your craziest, you were somewhere and you ran into somebody you knew from Mississippi story? I've got one. Everybody's got one, but what's yours?
Oh, I guess the one that would come to mind is that when I was development director for Mississippi University for Women, the DC area was part of my territory, and I was in Virginia, right outside of DC, visiting with an alum, and we were in her home and having a lovely evening, just getting to know one another. And when I talked about being from Columbus and that my father had a men's department store, and the name of it was Crosley's, and she said, "Oh, my brother worked there."
No way.
And so sure enough, I got home and was going through some papers and found a newspaper ad that my father had, and there was her brother just front and center in that picture. So that was kind of the latest one that sticks in my mind, but there's been plenty of them.
Now, seriously, as a development director, there is no better way to get a check out of somebody than to show up with an ad with their brother in it. That had to have gone over very well.
Oh, well,
I know.
Yes,
Sometimes.
That's correct.
Yeah, my craziest one was we were walking in London and ran into a school group from my son's high school.
Oh.
It was like, oh, yeah, you're in London. Okay, you can't get away. That's why we can't get away with anything, right? That's why we have to, clean living here in Mississippi, because somebody will catch us.
And I couldn't do anything in Columbus growing up without my father finding out, because in a small town and with a business right in the middle of downtown, if I got stopped for speeding or the time I may have been racing in a 2-lane road right down a main street in Columbus, my father would know about it, but he wouldn't tell me right then. He would wait until I was in trouble for something else, and then he could bring that up. So I was in double trouble. So he saved them up.
It sounds like your dad had the parenting thing down well, but that is the thing. When your dad's literally a business leader in the community, he knows everybody, yes, which means he knows everything.
That's right. That's right.
So
and it sounds bizarre to people, but it's true. And another thing I love about Mississippi and especially Columbus is I'm getting together with my high school friends this weekend for a reunion, and we've all stayed close all these many years. I'm not going to say exactly how many because it's a lot now, but we've all stayed close, and that's a real blessing.
That's fantastic. Well, have a good time because, the whole reunion thing's kind of gotten a little bit, I guess, not as shiny as it used to be because of Facebook. It's like we kind of keep up with people, but I'm glad that y'all still together and you're going to have a good time. It looks like you're going to have a nice weekend for you to do that. So that'll be excellent.
That's right.
That'll be great.
Yes.
That'll be a lot of fun. I tell you, you talk about your dad, of course, he's being a business leader and everything. Is that kind of what inspired you to kind of have a business tact in your life? I mean, that would be kind of cool because I know my dad had a small business, and I remember the other day somebody said, "Well, you've never made a payroll," and you said, I said, "I'm right. You're right. I have not, but I watched my dad do it a lot, and that was always something that I really respected." Was that kind of how you got your start?
Absolutely. My father was one of my biggest mentors, and I knew I was going to be in business because he was. and I grew up in his business. I grew up working in his business, and he was great, and I loved that. So there was never a question. I would major in business and be in business.
And you got that degree from the university, from the Mississippi University of Women. You got the Bachelor of Science in Business. So what did you focus in on business, particularly finance or what?
Marketing.
Yes.
More than anything.
Yeah, me too.
So,
yeah, that's awesome. I tell
you can do just about
anything with the
marketing, right?
Yeah, you could be a radio host and a cartoonist with a marketing degree. You can do just about anything. But that's fantastic, and that kind of really sets you up, I think, for your career a little bit. And I always think about what it must have been like being a woman starting out in business in Mississippi when you started out a little bit. I mean, now it's tough now too, but I mean, you did it and you threw some elbows and you kind of made sure that you made your way. Was that toughness just something growing up, that you were your dad kind of made sure that you were tough, or how did that work out for you?
No, I don't know exactly. I think I mentioned before that he didn't make a point of saying you can do anything you want to do. I just knew from the way he treated us, from the way he acted, from what he expected from us, that I knew I could. So it never entered my mind that I couldn't.
Isn't that incredibly powerful? And I can tell. My dad did the same thing because when I was 8, I told him I was going to be the best cartoonist in the world. And he just looked at me and smiled and he said, yes, and you will be the best one. But it was just because I knew he believed in me. And A, I didn't want to disappoint him, but B, that was kind of like a pilot light that kind of kept me going even when things were crazy a little bit. And I'm glad that your dad gave you that gift too.
He did. And you're right when you say, I really did not want to disappoint my father. And, I was telling a friend the other day, I as an adult, I had an argument with my father, and it upset me so badly. I stayed up all night and wrote like a 3-page apology letter and took it to him the next day. I just couldn't stand for there to be any animosity between us, and I didn't want to disappoint him. So I don't think I argued much with him ever again.
Hey, what was his reaction when you got the note?
He came by the business I was at the time and said, "So, honey," that's what he called all of us. Yeah. I had 2 sisters and my mother, so anytime he said honey, he got 3 sirs and a what. But he came by and said, "So, honey, I got your letter." And he just hugged me and, it was all good.
That's great. That's great. I tell you what, it's a great time to take a break. So when we return, we're going to be back with Angela. This is Now You're Talking on MPB Think Radio.
Hello, I'm Desiree Frazier, host of the award-winning news program, Mississippi Edition. We bring you conversations about the latest news from across the Magnolia State. Whether it's politics, healthcare, or education, you'll hear in-depth discussions on issues that matter to you. So join us each weekday morning at 8:30 on MPB Think Radio, or download the podcast, listen through the app, and online.
Both seasons of the 10-Minute Timeout are now available on a variety of podcasting apps. The mini podcast can be binged in a day and is perfect for those that just want a quick listen. Join me, Lacey Alexander, as I sit down with special guests, revisit major moments, and give a platform to the athletes and sports that shape Mississippi. Head over to mpbonline.org to give it a try.
You're listening to Now You're Talking on MPB Think Radio. I'm your host, Marshall Ramsey, and we're back with, I love this, fundraising guru, Angela Ferraez. Angela, gosh, it's good to see you. It really is. And it's good to be talking to you a little bit. Tell us a little bit about the foundation here at MPB and what has changed since you've taken the role. Because like I said, I've been around here for, I guess, 12 years or so. And you came in and you really kind of took the reins and hustled and made some changes. Talk a little bit about that, and what else do you think that there is to accomplish?
Well, I think I mentioned last time we spoke on the show that when I came to the foundation. The software I felt like was a little antiquated, so we updated that. Our marketing materials were not up to par, so we changed marketing companies, software companies. We started, we became a part of a nationwide group that about 40 or 50 stations belong to do our marketing, to do our emailing, our digital promotion, all of that. So that really turned the corner for us. I laid the groundwork before that. We made some changes with pledge drives. And I think I told you before, we have tried some stuff now, and I'm an out of the box person, and I'll try anything once. And so we've done a lot of that. And going forward, I think we've grown, and we're still growing. We're fortunate that some people are not, but we have such great people in Mississippi, and then we have members from Alabama, Tennessee, Louisiana. So we just have a great viewership, listenership, people who love Mississippi and love MPB, and so we continue to grow. And so I'm just constantly moving the needle a little bit. I know what my ultimate goal is, and we're just slowly but surely. There's no, I would say, giant leaps, but we've almost doubled in membership since we came here. And I've just loved every minute of it. I love so many things about MPB. So it gives me a passion and I think you have to have that, the passion, because I see all the wonderful things we do and the contributions we make to our state. And so that motivates me every day to just keep going and adding things and stepping it up a notch and upping our game. And that's always going to be my goal. And I think things like Mississippi Antique Showcase is one of those things. I was home one night watching Antiques Roadshow, and my son was there with me, and I just sat there, and a minute later I was like, you know what, I think we can do that. I'm a collector, my sons are. So I had friends that owned estate businesses, auction houses. So I started phoning in favors from those that I'd met. And so it was just originally going to be an event for my members and donors. And then when it sold out in 2 weeks, I had asked TV if they would just record a little of it so I could promote that in other areas and take it around the state. And so when we had such a good response, television decided to film it all. And then it turned into 2 shows, and then we took it on the road. And so we just kind of kept going.
Well, in the nonprofit world, I think one of the ways of making revenue and making connections is creating live events, right? And doing that. And that's what the brilliance, I think, of the antique show is, you get something people are genuinely interested in. And we talked about that a little bit in the last segment, where everybody's got something in their house that has a story, right? So they want to hear about the story on that. But also, too, that allows people to come in, meet people from MPB, get to know them. And, number one rule of marketing in Mississippi, and you might agree with this, I think, is if people know you, they'll pay attention to you. And I think that's really important. And it gives a really positive way for people to be able to come into the MPB brand and get to know Jermaine, or get to know Bill, or get to meet you, or get to know. And so suddenly when you hear the headlines about public radio or whatever on TV and everything, they don't think about something that's from Washington or something like that. They think these are my friends that I met at the Antique Roadshow. I mean, it is a good marketing vehicle on so many different levels, and it's good TV.
That's right. It checks a lot of boxes. And in addition, it's grown our membership as well, because whenever anyone donates for a ticket, they receive a membership.
Aren't you sly? Yeah.
So that connection is made. And so once you become a member, you start getting invitations to these events that we do, and we do a lot of them. And you start to receive our emails and information, and you receive Fine Tuning, our program guide that also has news about MPB in it. So the connection gets stronger. And then we have some people who make it a habit. They're just coming to every one, no matter where it is. It's kind of like they're following us. And so I love that about it, that they're just, each time they come and bring something else, and just they've made friends at the event. And so they want to come to every one. So it's just things like that. But you're right. Events, which as I said, we've done many of them. You make a connection with your audience, with people, and then you're right. We have that closeness. So when they phone and they say, "Hey, I want to know about this," they know who they're speaking with. They can put a face to the name of who they see on their correspondence and their letters, and the names they hear on radio or see on television. So it's really a win-win-win.
Definitely on that. Which, number one, at what age did you get past your shyness? So, because you've never met a stranger. I always love that about you too. But I think you really touched on something really important on that. It helps educate people about MPB, but does it in such a fun way.
That's right. So, we want to educate, inspire, and entertain. And I think that the Antique Showcase does all of those, because we learn about some things in history. We've had coin collections come. We've had old U.S. documents brought. So we're learning things. So it's education, and it inspires us all to find more things, to learn more, to know more about our history. And then, darn it, we just have a good time. We have food and drink and visiting, and we just make it a big party.
Well,
that's great on all levels.
That's also a very Mississippi thing. Also, we like a good party on that as well.
That's right. That's right.
You hear a lot about the chatter about, of course, right now. I mean, with what's going on in the news and the Doge and the funding cuts and everything else, and there's some pressures out there, and there's a lot of people that talk about how public broadcasting is funding, and I will be, of course, somebody who will defend it all day long, because I know the value. I always just say, hey, if it wasn't for Katrina, people wouldn't have known what was going on from pretty much, Highway 80, down south from Hattiesburg south, because all the cell towers are dead, right? Because of that. And literally MPB was the lifeline for many, many weeks until civilization started coming back on. But people don't really understand how we're funded a little bit. What does the foundation do on the funding side of things? Because there is some money that comes from the state, and a lot of that's for infrastructure, if I remember correctly.
Well, I can't say what the money that we do get. Mississippi Public Broadcasting does receive some state funding.
Sure.
And we appreciate our state legislature for that. And I am not involved in the politics so much of it, but the foundation has, we supply a certain amount of money to MPB every year. We fund some special projects that they cannot fund in any other way. We fund most of this Antique Showcase, which airs on MPB TV. We fund some events that are important for MPB, not just for the foundation, but important to them. When there's equipment needs that come up unexpectedly that were not budgeted for, the foundation can step in for a new camera or a new soundboard, or whatever it may be. So we're just there to support Mississippi Public Broadcasting in any way that we can. And we do that to the best of our ability. And I have a great board, foundation board, and finance committee on that board, and they feel the way I do. So with the board's approval, we fund some of the larger things. So we're just always at the ready for what MPB may need. And there's a lot of needs. So that's why we keep trying to grow and increase our membership. But Marshall, I'm just going to tell you this. I see Mississippi Public Broadcasting day in and day out. I see the people who come in with the same passion. I love what we do for education, especially our rural schools that need a teacher and maybe not have the funds to hire them. And our digital education network can supply that. And I see the radio reading service who read to not only our 6,000 visually impaired, but those with dementia and Alzheimer's disease, like my mother had, who have lost the ability to comprehend the written word, but you can read to them. And all the education things that we do, the weather alerts, the amber alerts, the silver alerts that come through us. And that's just not even scratching the surface. So there are so many needs, and MPB meets a lot of those for the people of the state. So I don't know how anyone could not be for that, especially our kids.
Exactly. And I tell you, I mean, I've had the joy of getting to hang around this place every Monday for 12 years and gotten to know most of the staff and have seen some come. I've seen some go. But, you know, they're just incredibly passionate folks here, and they really, really care, and they really love Mississippi. So it's fun, and it is. And I'm so glad that y'all have the role that you do to be able to help make it happen every week, to make sure we stay on the air, which is great. So thank you for that part. It's always good. You know, there are unique challenges to fundraising, particularly in weird times when people are uncertain, or you're doing it for a public media entity a little bit. What are some of your I don't say tactics. I was just trying to find the right word. But what's some of your strategy to be able to do it? You just tell the story. Isn't that probably your best weapon that you've got in your quiver?
Well, there's so many good stories to tell, so I have an infinite supply of them. And I think it's finding out what people, each person, and this is what amazes me. So many of our members are members for different reasons. Like some just love Masterpiece and the documentaries on TV. Some love you and Felder and the medical advice and the legal in legal terms and the gardening tips. I mean, they just love our local programming on the radio. And some of them just love the educational value of MPB. So I think it's finding what a person is interested in and then letting them know what we are doing on that level or in that way, how we are, how MPB is impacting lives through radio, through television, through education, through the volunteer program, whatever it is. So I hate to use the word hot button, but it's kind of that. What people give because they're passionate about something and they want to be a part of something that's doing good work. And I think that MPB certainly checks that box on many levels.
You know what I loved when I first got here is I'm sitting there and I'm hearing all these voices that I've heard for years on the radio walk down the hall, and they actually have bodies. It's like, oh, there's Kevin Farrell. It's like actually getting to meet the people. It's like, oh, this is cool. And by the way, Kevin makes the best cookies in the world, just for in case anybody was curious.
Goodness. I don't know how he does it, but every Monday morning
it's something
there's
different.
Homemade cookies.
It's something different every time. I don't know if he's repeated himself yet, and he's been doing it forever. So it's great. I told him that the day he retires, he needs to open a franchise called Kevin's Cookies.
Please do not mention retirement to him.
Oh,
do
no.
Not.
Oh, I'm not going to get rid of him. No, I'm not getting. I'm just saying when he's 100 and needs something to do.
Yeah. I don't want to give him any ideas.
A little bit. I tell you what, Antique Showcase, is coming up in Oxford. Tell us the date on that real quick. We'll get that out 2 or 3 times before we get done today.
May 2nd and 3rd at the Inn at Ole Miss. May 2nd, 1 to 6. May 3rd, 10 to 4. Okay,
and for folks who don't know, the Inn at Ole Miss is, of course, the hotel that's right there on campus. So it's really cool.
Correct.
So it's great. Well, what a great location too. That'll be fun.
No, right? The ballroom is just going to be great for filming and doing 2 different sets and filming people and appraisals and all that. And it's a great setup.
You got, space too. You can get a hotel room there if you want to stay the night and so forth. And it's real near the square. So it's real low and it's right there on campus. I mean, it's very conveniently located on that too. And so that'll be cool. So how long does it take to set up for something like that?
Months. But actually
obviously booking it and everything takes months, but put the setup, it takes
the setup, we go in on Wednesday evening and begin, and then we work on it all day Thursday, and then usually when we leave on Thursday evening, we're ready to go, just tweaking everything on Friday morning, and then we're ready.
How do you get the guests? Do they do they submit saying, hey, look, I have this piece here and I'd like to be on the show? Or how do y'all pick who's who on the show? That
is a great question. So when people donate for their ticket, we ask them to send a picture of their item or a couple of pictures. And so from that, either us or our appraisers choose what they think will be the most interesting on camera. And we don't always hit it right, but we try to, get the things that we think will be the most interesting. And then the others, if we do miss someone, Bill or Jermaine interviews them and finds out about their item anyway. So in that way, we can kind of hit everyone. And so that's how we promote, and people find out about it and donate for their ticket. And we get the pictures and we give them to our appraisers so that they at least have a little bit of time in case some research is needed on an item to give the best appraisal. So that's how that process works.
Yeah, it's not like Pawn Stars where you say, well, I have a buddy who's got a buddy that can do, and you pawn them, literally pawn them off on that. Of the time that you've done this, is there a piece that you can remember that you just said, that is incredible, that is the most amazing story?
There's been several, because we've had some awesome items. We've had some awesome items that were valued at $500. We've had some awesome items that were valued at $60,000, and everywhere in between. But one of the funnest stories was our first time, and we had a guest, and if I called her name, you would know her, that brought in a music box that had old photos in it. The music box still worked. And the way she had gotten it was she had a boyfriend that was cleaning out a closet, and she was like, oh, that's a gorgeous box. And it was gold and just very ornate. And she was like, I love that. And he said, well, you can have it. So she brought it to our first showcase in Jackson, and it ended up being appraised for between $15,000 and $20,000. I can't remember, 16 or 18.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
So I can tell you that she was not one of the sentimental ones, and she was one that was going to sell it.
Yeah, cash that bad boy in. It's like that. Right. And somewhere that boyfriend is like, what? He's watching TV going, oh, doing the Homer Simpson sound. That is hilarious. But that's fantastic too. Good for her. I'm glad she got some money on that. I tell you what, we'll continue on this discussion, but we're going to take a quick break. In fact, it's our final one, and we'll be back with more with Angela and after this.
The Measuring Show.
Since 1970, MPB has been enriching the lives of Mississippians.
Everything we do gives us the chance to grow and learn.
With your support, we are always there whenever and wherever you need us. Together through the years, together in the future. Please consider making a donation at mpbfoundation.org. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bobby Rush. As a blues man, I love Mississippi Public Broadcasting. If you support Mississippi music and their local programming, donate now, right now, and become a member today, not tomorrow. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Doesn't matter how big or small, but we prefer big. Thank you very much.
You're listening to Now You're Talking on MPB Think Radio. I'm your host, Marshall Ramsey, and we're back with the head honcho of the MPB Foundation, Angela Ferraez. Angela, like I said, I think one of the joys of my time working here is getting to know you. And, the last time on the last show, we need to put a link to it too, because we really went in depth a little bit about your thoughts on business and some of the things you've done in your career. And it's just a fascinating fascinating career you've had. And I'll be honest with you, I think it's getting stronger every day. I mean, I think and I think you've touched on something, and I think everybody, as we're going into these weird times that we're going into, experiments never fail, do they? It's like, if you try something and it works, that's great. But if it doesn't work, you've learned something, and then you can try something different, and that's going to work. So talk about a little bit about that. Because like I said, I just think the whole antique showcase thing was kind of started out to be one thing, and it's turned out to be something just wonderful. And it was kind of an accident.
That's correct. It was just an idea for an event, Marshall.
Right.
I had no idea it would turn into, we're about to film our 5th season of it. I just thought it would be a fun, wonderful event, entertaining event for our members. So it's like I told you, I'm an out of the box person. And other people might describe my personality a little differently, but I'm going to use that.
Okay.
As out of the box, because I love things like I'm always just looking for different things. Like, one of the great things that we have started doing is we use a little bit of artificial intelligence to help us identify members and donors who need a phone call or a letter or whatever. Bill Ellison helps me with that. So we use that technology so that we rotate through all of that, so we kind of know who we should call or write or send an email to. So that's been really good. And so we started using AI several years ago, before you even heard about it in the news. I saw the potential of that and the advantages of that, because it can be overwhelming sometimes. Just like, who do I call? What do I do? So that has been good. And we've tried all kind of different things, pledge drives. We've had drawings. We've given away dog food to shelters. We've given away iPhones and TV, and we're just always trying to find a way to improve our pledge drives and make them enjoyable for the viewers and listeners. And we found a program that helps us identify companies that will match your gift if you give. So we have a software program that doubles the donation, shows you if your company will match your gifts. And let me stop right here, Marshall, and just say, I don't do all this by myself. I have a great team. So I'm going to get a shout out to Lisa Lancaster and Isabel McConnell and Sarah McLean Hassel and Kevin Klein.
Kevin
Jason
Klein. There you go.
Klein,
Tell him to say
Bill
hello to
Ellison
Phoebe Cates for me.
Do what?
I said, tell him to say hello to Phoebe Cates for me. Kevin Klein, so.
Oh, I know. But anyway, Jason does underwriting for us since he left Mississippi Public Broadcasting.
Jason, what is that?
That?
Lacey, why does that name ring a bell? Jason Klein? Oh,
because
wait, he was my boss.
That's right, because I took his show.
Okay.
I'm the new Jason on Fix It. That's why it rings a bell.
Okay, yeah, you two favor.
Yeah, we have very similar voices.
Yeah. Jason's good people.
Yeah, so Jason's working with us, and so it's really a great team. And I will tell you, on Mississippi Antique Showcase, trying to schedule 2 filming, because we film 2 sets at all time.
Yeah.
So trying to get everyone scheduled for an appraisal while we're doing filming at 2 different sets. My team does that whole timing spreadsheet, and I cannot even look at it without my head almost exploding. And they do all that detail. So I have a lot of help, and I don't mean to make it sound like it's all me, because it is certainly not.
Well, see, that was the whole point of the show, is I was just going to totally edge everybody else out and just make it completely about you, just to make you in trouble there. But no, you're right. You do have a great team, and they're great folks, and it makes a huge difference. And that makes coming to work a lot more fun, doesn't it?
It does. I love coming to work because I love what I do. I love the people I do it with, and I love the passion that I have for it and promoting all the things we do.
What advice would you give to someone? And this is kind of the self-help section of the show. I mean, you obviously are self-driven. You obviously have the fire that you've had in your belly since the get-go. And I think really, honestly, it sounds like you grew up in a family where that really helped light that fire. But tell folks a little bit about how they can, I mean, what are some tips on how to become passionate when it comes to your job or to your life or whatever a little bit? What's kind of your philosophy on that?
Well, I haven't given a lot of thought to my philosophy on that, Marshall.
You just do it.
I personally love to sell. And that was, I think, in the DNA. Because my father was one of the best salespeople I've ever seen.
So no doesn't bother you?
Do what?
So no doesn't bother you when you hear no?
No.
Okay.
It's just when every no is the next step to a yes.
Ooh, I like that.
So if no bothers you, then probably you're not for sales and marketing or fundraising. But I know some people that love numbers. I love my accountant with MPB because she is just so on it, and I can ask her anything and she knows, and she loves the numbers. So if numbers are your passion, then develop it. I think the problem is people settle before they keep looking to find their passion. So I think maybe settling may be a problem for some people. I don't really know. Because I just know I was in one job one time where it was not dealing with people. It was none of that. And I can't do a cubicle all day long. That's not me. So I have to be out and about and seeing people and talking with people and all of that. So I think if you have not found your passion, do some exploring, read, visit some places, read about other industries, and just find what your passion is.
Who would you say was your number one mentor? Who was somebody, I mean, your dad, obviously, but I mean, somebody in business that you just said, you know what, that's who I'm going to pattern my career after.
I can't say I want to say I patterned my career after, but the owner of the company where I started the computer department, the microcomputer department at Besco in Columbus, he was just dogged determination, just a great salesperson. I loved watching him in action because he was really so good. And I learned so much by watching him. Now, he was tough, and he was a great first boss kind of to have because he was tough. You didn't get by with anything. I have said I would like for some people now to work for him because that would be an eye-opening experience. But it was a good experience for me to have because I learned how to work hard, and I learned to get ahead. It wasn't an 8-to-5 job. It was whatever it took. And that's what my father did. Whatever it took to make his business successful. So I think that mentality, as much as anything, has helped me, whatever it takes. And that's kind of my philosophy to get the job done.
So that's tattooed on your forearm, whatever it takes?
Well, I don't have any tattoos, but I could get one of those that's just temporary.
That would be nice. Or I can do it with a Sharpie if you need me to, because that'll last at least a good 6 months. So trust me on that one. Don't ask me how I know that. But that's the thing. And that's, like I said, I've had the pleasure of knowing you for a few years now, and I always love these interviews where I really know the person I get to talk to, because it makes it very, very fun for me, obviously, and hopefully for the listener too. But I've always
with you, Marshall.
I've been a big fan. I just am. I just the whole the show The Bear, which I enjoy, and every time I talk to a chef about it. It's on Hulu, but it's about a restaurant, and there's a restaurateur that's from New York named Will Guidara, and his book is called Irrational Hospitality or whatever. Unreasonable Hospitality, excuse me, as I got the name wrong. One of my favorite books, because he turned, they were like the number 50th restaurant in the world to number 1 restaurant in the world, all through service. And you understand that, you understand that it's how you make people feel. And that's so important with what you do. And I'm really excited once again that y'all are going to be going to Oxford coming up here in a few days. That'll be fun. It's hard to believe that April is blowing through like it is. It seems like this month has lasted about 3 minutes on that.
That's
but
right.
The Antique Showcase will be in Oxford at the Inn at Ole Miss. Throw those dates out again because my brain isn't what it used to be.
Yes, it's May 2nd and 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
So they can get their ticket going online and make a donation. Call the office. And I don't have the 800 number right in front of me, but I wish I did. But you can call the office at 601-432-6565. We can help you with that. Anyone or just
Do you have anything on MPB online?
Email me. Do what?
Do you have anything on MPB online where they can find it there?
We do, mpbonline.org, and we'll be front and center there. So you can just donate for your tickets right there online. And so I want to encourage everyone to come. It's just a great time. You should just experience it once. Before that, Marshall.
Yes.
Do we have 1 minute for me to tell what's coming before that?
Well, of course we do. It's you. We can talk. We can talk as long as you want.
Okay, so this coming weekend, we are going to be with TV and radio at Sip and Savor at the Max in Meridian. And then on April 24th, the foundation is hosting a screening and reception for our new cooking show, Southern Dish. And that's going to be in Greenwood at the Museum of the Mississippi Delta. And then the next week, it'll be time for Antique Showcase in Oxford, May 2nd and 3rd. And the next week on May 10th, we will have Felder in Columbus, here in Columbus. The foundation will have a table there, and he's going to do a talk there for the opening of Farmers Market. So that's just between now and May 10th.
We've done, Felder and I have done a couple shows together, and we decided that it's too explosive to have us together. It's just, we had so much fun. It was just great. He's so good live too. He just really lights up a room. So that's going to be fun.
But now I would love to see a Marshall and Felder act. I think that would just be most entertaining.
It would be very
I've done a lot of events and talks with Felder. In fact, we took it on the road right after COVID and did a 12-city tour in parks outside with Felder, and that was most fun. But I think that we're going to have to arrange for a Marshall Felder show.
That would be
or talk or event, something.
That would be a lot of fun. I would probably just sit back and listen to Felder because he makes me laugh. He's just fantastic, and he has great knowledge too. So that's. I tell you what, this is probably a good way to end the show. Let me ask you one more question. Is there anything you would like to say about the generosity of Mississippians?
Amazing.
Yeah.
I don't have a word for it. I just know from the people that I talk to that they seriously put their money where their heart is. And I think that that's why we have had the success we've had at the foundation. It's just because people are generous about what they believe in their heart and what they think that we need in Mississippi. And for that, I am always grateful. And they're kind and they're compassionate and they're considerate and they're just loads of fun to be around.
I think right there we have the headline, Lacey. Mississippians put their money where their heart is. Fantastic. And you obviously put your heart where your heart lies as well. Your heart where your heart is. But anyway, you do such a great job. And thank you so much for being with us today and taking the time out to join us. Good luck with, of course, the Antique Showcase that's going to be up in Oxford. That's going to be a lot of fun.
It is. Thank you for having me again, Marshall. It's been so much fun and went by so quickly.
I know, it just blink and it's over. But it's been a great conversation as always. And I look forward to running into you in the office. And we'll talk again soon.
Thanks, Marshall.
Thank you. Hey, I want to thank you for listening. A special thanks to Angela for joining us today. If you'd like to hear this or any past episodes, you can subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast app or on our MPB Public Media app. Now You're Talking is a production of MPB Think Radio with episode and podcast produced by Lacey Alexander. Hey, stay tuned for Southern Remedy Healthy and Fit. That's coming up next. And join us again next Monday at 10. I'm Marshall Ramsey. Y'all have a great week.